So me and my colleague Eleni, that I have a pleasure to introduce, we will guide you in understanding and decoding open market consultation in the perspective of implementing this process. So I am an independent expert on innovation procurement and partner of COPE project. Eleni Ilianou is a lawyer at the Greek Supreme Court and expert on European regional development and specialized in public procurement and international transaction. So I would start defining the legal framework for open market consultation. Open market consultation is better named preliminary market consultation, and this process is rules in the European Public Procurement Directive and of course in their transposition into national legislation. In particular, Article 40 and Article 58 respectively of the Public Sector Directive and Utilities Directive define the main rationale of this process. And Article 41 and Article 49, respectively, of the Public Sector Directive and Utilities Directive specify when the market consultation has to be conducted, avoiding to compromise the competition. In particular, the first article of the directive states that before launching a public procurement procedure, the contracting authorities may conduct market consultation with a view to prepare the procurement and informing economic operators of their procurement plans and requirements. So it's clear that the open market consultation is a bidirectional instrument. For this purpose, the contracting authorities may seek or accept advice from independent experts or authorities or from market participants under the condition that these actions have not the effect to distort the competition and does not result in a violation of the principles of non-discrimination and transparency. And the contracting authority is entitled to take appropriate measure to ensure that the competition is not distorted by the participation of the candidate and potential tender to the open market consultation process before the participation of the public procurement. Of course, the open market consultation, which is a preliminary process before the launching of a public procurement, is subject to European competition rules aimed at avoiding any distortion of competition and information exchange between competitors that can have a relevance for the valid bidding, and the Treaty on the Functioning of European Union principles and derived principles. But I will give the floor to my colleague Eleni Ilianou to explain better what is the context, the legal framework, and the implication that these principles have in the implementation of open market consultation. Please, Eleni.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everyone. Hello from my side as well. So discussing and trying to dive into more details on the EU principles, I would like, of course, to highlight the fact that these principles are actually governing the public procurement and also governing processes like pre-commercial procurement and the respective open market consultation that are exempted from EU procurement directive, meaning that the EU legal context are principles that are foreseen in the treaty, in the EU treaties, so they have to be they have to be insured in every procurement, even in the procurements that are exempted from the public procurement directives. Having in mind that we are preparing a market consultation, we have to take into account all those 4 principles: the principle of transparency, the principle of equal treatment, with its, let's say, aspect of non-discrimination, and I will explain what I mean by this, the open competition, and of course the sound procedural management. Sarah, if you can, next please. So the principle of transparency, actually it's a principle that has to be taken into account more as a tool in order to achieve several objectives, and I will explain what I mean by this. The importance of this principle in the EU context is that it applies, as I mentioned before, independently of the legislation, meaning that even if we do have a procurement process, a procurement contract that falls outside the scope of the procurement directives, such as pre-commercial procurement, it's compulsory that this transparency principle continue to apply, so as to impose, for example, the publication requirements, the widely, let's say, advertising of the procurement. And this has been, of course, confirmed in several EU cases. So the transparency principle, it is used, for example, in order to ensure publication and accessibility of the legislation, in order to provide well in advance clarity and certainty for all interested economic operators, even other stakeholders, and of course to enable contracting authorities and both the demand and supply side to be aware of the rules of the game, meaning to be aware of the provisions of the said market consultation. Another aspect that the principle of transparency ensures is that is advertising requirements, and this guarantee, of course, transparency in the whole process, even in the preliminary market consultation process. Of course, publication in advance, for example, of the technical specifications, and also the identification and presentation of the selection and award criteria gives to the stakeholders the right to verify that these specifications and criteria are fair and not discriminatory. And of course, recording and reporting requirements ensure that the actions of the contracting authorities may be verified where appropriate. And this is also a very important aspect, because in many cases it is the national courts or the European courts that need to verify that these actions are the actions taken and appropriate for the said process. Next, please. Then we have the equal treatment principle. It's actually it's a concept that can be in a way be confused with non-discrimination, but I would say that it's not the same, because in general terms, all procurement legislation, the EU procurement legislation, of course, the national legislation, seek to maintain equality between economic operators. But at the EU context, we have another, let's say, additional aspect, which is the quality, which is also based on nationality and the geographical location of the economic operator. So in general terms, equal treatment is the concept that requires identical situation to be treated in the same way, or on the other way around, different situations not to be treated in the same way. And this, of course, requires that identical treatment of identical, let's say, economic operators or people. In that sense, contracting authorities, when they conduct a market consultation, they do not have to take into account, they cannot distinguish or not to take into account the different abilities or difficulties faced by individual economic operators, but they have to evaluate them or to judgment or to involve them in a process purely on the results of their efforts. For example, on the basis of the expression of interest for a market consultation, or on the basis of the tenders they submit in a specific procurement. And this equal treatment principle actually provides for an objective assessment of the prices, of the qualities, of in general of the offer submitted or of the interest expressed during the market consultation. On the other hand, as I just mentioned a while ago, in the EU context, the concept of equal treatment requires another definition, which is in addition based on the nationality or the origin of the economic operator or the place of their performance or the place of their establishment. As a result, all economic operators of EU nationality must be treated equally, and this is actually the principle of no discrimination, which is, of course, it's a principle that should be respected when we conduct a market consultation. And the next principle, it's the open competition principle, which is, I suppose, for most of you well known, because it's actually at the level of allowing different economic operators to communicate their solutions, their prices, or the service they have available on the market, and this not to be in a way limited with specific specifications or requirements that can be considered as not legal or lawful. This is why in a market consultation, we need to provide to all economic operators the same level of information. We need to communicate to them all the data we have with the same, let's say, via the same channels, and advertising our process in the most possible way, which is, of course, the most important aspect, because this advertising guarantees the widest possible publicity and competition, enabling thus economic operators from all over the EU to participate, and thus ensuring for us as contracting authorities the greatest possible choices for the best bid. And of course, the last principle, which is not, let's say, clearly stated in the EU treaties, but it's a principle that can derive from the case law and, of course, from the soft legislation, is the sound procedural management, meaning that when we conduct a market consultation and when we start any public procurement process, including the process of open market consultation, we need to keep records, to track everything we do, and to try to evaluate our steps in a sound way, in order to be able, in any case, to prove that we fully respected the EU principles and the respective EU and or national legislation. So that was for the moment, yeah, from my side. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, Thank you,
Continue.
Dani.
Thank you.
So now we will see how this principle can be declined and safeguarded when we implement pragmatically open market consultation. So it has to be said that the open market consultation is not a procedure, it is a process, consultative, non-selective, and free of charge process. I mean, the companies, the market operators do not receive any payment to participate to this process. They do not receive any price to participate and to provide information. It's not aimed to select companies to participate and to bid, and is consultative. So it's not mandatory to take the information acquired in strict consideration. There has to be a process that we can see of interpretation of the result. So basically, we can say that open market consultation is a process aimed at reducing the information asymmetries existing between the contracting authorities and the market operator, so that the procurement can take place according to the best competitive criteria and with a soundless management of the resources. So is a double-fold process instrument that on one side, for the demand side, consists in a proactive analysis of the offer systems, aimed, for example, not exhaustively, aimed at assessing the availability of solutions, the availability of particular knowledge to understand the business risks that can endeavor or obstacle the execution of the procurement of the contract, some technical and operational information needed to set up the procurement, and to identify the most suitable means to satisfy the procurer's needs. On the other side, for the supply side, is this pre-information about a procurement, intended procurement, give the possibility to the market the congruous time for them to prepare competitive and fit for purpose proposals. So give them an advantage in terms of timing to be better prepared to answer in a competitive manner to the challenge posed by the procurers. Essentially, when we deal with innovation, public procurement, we use a lot these instruments to assess the technology state of the art in order to find out whether technologies are commercially available, under development, or not available on the market, and the level of coverage of the desired functionalities to assess and decide if research and development are needed or the deployment action is better adapt for the need presented by the contracting authorities. So is a means to assess the technology state of the art and to identify the better suitable instrument to proceed. Example, in HOPE, we are dealing with PCP, pre-commercial public procurement, which cover the development of regional solutions, starting from TRL 2 up to TRL 8, or the PPI instrument, which is public procurement of innovative solutions that can involve the customization or incremental innovation to be conducted. So this is a specific use that in all projects we will implement. This is an answer, a question that we will pose to the market through the open market consultation to get confirmation about the state of the art of the technologies, complementing our analysis based on literature review, scientific review, patent review, etc. When we can implement validly an open market consultation, is a pretender step, the open market consultation, but based on the definition of the directive, the consultation can take place after programming a procurement, but before the start of the procedure. Indeed, this is aimed at acquiring information to better design the procurement process. But it has to start with a definition of a need, a procurement need. And a procurement need is we can call procurement need if is related to the provision of a particular public service with a well-identified genuine need, concrete, with the aim of optimizing the public spending and maximizing the value. We can have also in some national soft regulation or regulation the possibility to implement open market consultation for informative purposes. For example, in Italy, according to Italian legislation, is mandatory to have defined, to have a commitment on a procurement and the use of consultation for general and purely informative purpose is not permitted. So is in preparation of procurement action. We will see that the result of the open market consultation need to be interpreted to decide, to assume decisions. So the launching of the procurement is not mandatory. It can be that the open market consultation provides some results that pose light on the not timely or non-convenience to proceed with the intended procurement or to postpone these actions. So there is not a commitment to effectively procure, but it has to start with a concrete need to be analyzed in dialogue with the market. Who is involved and who can be involved? Basically, all interested potential subjects that can bring a collective interest or have a concrete interest in participating in the procurement. So we have independent experts, we have authorities and market participants. The directive do not specify market participants in some legislation or soft regulation. It is better specified. For example, we have an indication in the in some legislation that these market participants refer to the holders of collective interest, like the trade association, for example, economic market operator, for example, researcher and users, why not? And other actors and university who represent the offer, but also who represent the demand in order to have information about the common element and aspect related to the needs. How can work and how can be designed? As it has been stated, the open market consultation needs to avoid to distort the competition. And this means that there has to be a distinction between the open market consultation and the subsequent selection procedure. Open market consultation is not a selective procedure, and it has not to be confused with a survey aimed at identifying subjects to conduct a negotiated procedure. So in addition, we have, when implementing this process, to avoid any risk of favoring certain suppliers on the part of the public procurer, as Eleni has said. Pragmatically, we advise you to announce in advance the intention to organize this open market consultation, to make all potential interested subjects made able to participate is recommended in European funded projects aimed at funding these actions to announce the open market consultation in the European tender database using the instrument of prior information notice, which is not a perfect instrument for this purpose, but is an instrument that the best we have on our in our possibility to announce the open market consultation. It's recommended to allow sufficient enough time to interested economic operators and market participants to express their interest in participating. So also the timing is very important. The market consultation need to be open, so we can't identify specific categories of subjects in the PIN to be invited. And all interested economic operators receive equal chance to formulate an offer in the subsequent procurement. And they obtain also same information related to the procedure of open market consultation, as Eleni said, in a transparent and non-discriminatory manner. We have not to artificially biased the open market consultation towards specific economic operator or toward a specific proprietary technologies. Continuing with the definition on how, we have to assure a balance between confidentiality and transparency, because if we have to ask market operators about their solution, ongoing under development solution, or their IPRs, we need to be sure to manage confidential information properly. This means that interested tenderers can be asked to identify to inform the contracting authority on which information they are providing under confidential conditions, and that can't be disclosed to other market players, and this is manageable, is possible to manage this confidential, commercial, secret information, considering, for example, the intention or the approaching upcoming deposit of a patent. If a company wants to contribute defining some element related to the solution that they are going to patent, for example, is clear that we have to assure non-disclosure agreement on that. Another instrument, another means that we can suggest is to anonymize the contribution, eventually, stripping the information of the tendered and the reference to confidential solution products can be excluded in the communication. At the same time, while we have to assure confidentiality, we have to assure transparency. So we need to be sure to provide exactly the same information to all market operators about the plan procurement. It is very important that we provide the same information, and not only to those are participating to the open market consultation, but more broadly to any potential interested subject. So we have to provide the same information we presented during the open market consultation to the wider market. This can be done publishing at the end, eventually, of the open market consultation, publishing the answers that the contracting authorities have provided to questions from the tenders in the form of Q&A list, for example. This is recommended and is quite mandatory under European funded project aimed at financing and preparing concrete innovation public procurement action. Of course, the procurer is not responsible if companies engage themselves in a collusive practices, but we have to enable, we have not to enable those companies to do so. So there are the possibility to manage a questionnaire, to have interaction with companies, asking them the same information, but in separate manner. So there are some means to introduce and explain that will be a competitive exercise, the procurement. As I said before, if the open market consultation create a bridge between the procurement planning and the procurement launching in terms of helping the contracting authorities preparing the procurement, is not mandatory, is not binded to launch the procurement, because can be that the open market consultation reveals some information that make the procurement as it has been conceived not enough mature to be launched, or non-anti-economic, and can provide some information. So the market consultation is free of any engagement, both from the demand and the supply side. This means that they are not obliged to launch the procurement and to participate to the procurement. And non-participation by a company will never exclude this company for the participation in the tender. And this will not have any influence on its opportunities. The establishment of adequate deadline for the submission of the tenders, if confirmed, to make the information acquired or exchanged during the open market consultation available to all potential tenders in time, is absolutely recommended. So to give all the potential participants the possibility to receive information and to prepare the offer, having the same material on their availability. How we can manage this? We can choose different format, or better, we can combine different formats. Of course, in my opinion and experience, open market consultation is not enough to scout the market and to understand the technology readiness level and the state of the art of the technology, because the open market consultation can be complemented validly with a patent research, literature review, a scientific review, analysis. But the open market consultation can be managed as virtual or in person, or bidirectional meeting, one-to-one meetings. So the procurer, the contracting authority, meets the market operators or the expert or the other authorities to ask for feedback related to the procurement, or, which is very recommended, to organize some more than one, eventually, meet the market events. So these are public events where there is an exchange and the presentation of the contribution from the companies. These can be complemented by questionnaires and very technical prepared questionnaires aimed at assessing and asking about specific technical and operational information to the market operators about the availability of the some technologies, the coverage of some functionalities that are needed and important for the procurers, to understand if the timing provided timing or planned time is fair, is consistent with the effort required to develop or deploy the solutions, and some survey polls, for example. But we can also use open market consultation to enable some networking section, especially for cross-border procurement is of great importance to make companies to interact with one each other to prepare fit-for-purpose solutions. So the idea to provide under authorization of the participants to provide the contact detail of the companies or some information about their core activity is a great utility to compose valid consortium. So the open market consultation has different formats that can be conveniently combined to achieve multiple results. To complete this part, what are the recommendations we have considered? First of all, in the writing, also in the information notice, we will recommend to specify the goals and the reason to hold a market consultation. So it has to be clear that the market consultation is not a preliminary selective procedure to identify the companies that will be ultimately invited to bid. It's not this the goal of the open market consultation. And to clarify the procurement needs and the background. So the dimension of the problem, the process, the context where innovation will be embedded, the baseline, the KPIs, actual KPIs, what we want to achieve, and the context where eventually conduct field testing. Because more information we are capable to provide, the best answers and qualified answer will be provided by the supply side, no, and the expert also. So if we are specific in defining our idea on how to structure the procurement, better and qualified information we can receive. It is also important to clarify what are our requests to participants, what kind of information we are looking for. Because it can be that we are not interested in their commercial presentation or marketing presentation of their solution. We can have a more technical or operational need to understand TRL, timing, risk, legal, administrative barriers, business barriers. So we have to clarify what kind of information in order to identify and be able to engage the right personnel, the right stakeholder. It can be that for some content and information, we prefer to interact with technical personnel instead of commercial roles. This depends on the type of information we are looking for. There are no limitations in the information we can acquire through an open market consultation. But if we are explicit, we can better target it, these exercise to the right roles and professionalities. We have to provide assurance that no economic operator involved in the market consultation will be excluded from the tender procedure unless there is, as a last remedy action in case of influence in the writing of the process. But this is a different case. We are talking about information to cover some gap and not to write, not an assignment to write the call for tender. That, of course, imposed the exclusion of the participants to the tender itself. We have to express a warning that is responsibility of all participating parties, and without excluding the supply side actors, to respect relevant legislation. I mean, if they provide information public information about their technologies, they compromise the rights to the patent. Company has to be responsible to respect the relevant legislation, also the competition law and principle, providing planning and timetables of the procedural steps when the open market consultation will be considered completed and when is planned to start to launch the procurement is an helpful, useful information to be presented so they can evaluate if it's convenient for them to participate or not. And also the timetables, because it can be that the open market consultation will be managed through a series, a step of action and format through one-to-one meetings and public meetings. So the company especially needs to evaluate the trade-off, the cost opportunity to participate, in which steps it is a decision that we need to enable them to assume, and explain different formats and how the confidentiality can be safeguarded. Okay, as I said, and Eleni will explain through the examination of the case law, the result of the open market consultation need to be interpreted by the contracting authority. They are the only responsible and entitled to decide whether the information can be considered, whether the solutions identified match with the needs. If is the case to go back to the market again to receive further input, or to stop the procedure, to interrupt, modify, or extend or suspend the procedure. So this is very important. The other aspect that sometimes companies ask the contracting authority is that they have no right to claim for any compensation of reimbursement. This is, of course, not a pre-selected procedure. They will not receive a prize, a contribution for the idea they will present and propose. Okay. So this is to complete the rapid overview on the open market consultation. We would like to introduce or provide you the references to one open market consultation best practice. I have selected one real procurement launched by European Commission and is related to the European Open Science Cloud procurement. And they launched the preliminary market consultation articulated in different steps because they had different webinars. They decided to manage open market consultation in webinars, and you have documented this process in the links, and the slides with the links will be provided to you. Now, I would like to give the floor again to Eleni to have an overview on the relevant case law related directly or indirectly on the open market consultation action and process. Eleni, the floor is yours again.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. So I won't present long and many case law. We try to actually, together with Sarah, to find the most, let's say, suitable and most important case law that sets actually the grounds for specific aspects of the open market consultation. So the first one is even an old case. It's Suki Fruta case back in 1999, which actually set the grounds for the transparency principle in a procurement process. Of course, indirectly including, of course, the open market consultation, which, as we said, is part of the whole procurement process. So in this case, which is a case that is being followed by many case law afterwards, and of course by the national legislations as well, the national case law as well. It's in this case, the European Court of Justice actually stated that the transparency principle requires that all the conditions and the detailed rules of procurement must be drawn up in a clear, precise, and unequivocal manner, either in the contract notice, in our case in the prior information notice, or in the contract documents, so that can be reasonably informed all tenderers that would like to express an interest on the exact significance, interpreted them in the same way. And on the other hand, the contracting authority, the public procurement, to be able to ascertain whether the tender submitted satisfy the criteria applying to the relevant contract. Of course, this second aspect is more related to the actual procurement, when we do have a contract notice and not in the prior information notice within an open market consultation. But as an overall rule, we do have the transparency principle, where we are in a way obliged to set and drawn up in a clear, precise, and unequivocal manner all the conditions of our market consultation. Another case as well, which is actually sets the grounds on whether which acts of a contracting authority fall under a judicial review, is the Stadthalle case of the European Court of Justice, which decided that actually every decision of a public procurer of a contracting authority falling under the community rules in the field of public procurement and reliable to infringe them is subject to a judicial review. But on the other hand, acts such as, for example, a study of the market, a preliminary consultation, or other purely preparatory acts, are not falling under a judicial review. This being said, this does not mean that, of course, a contracting authority can do whatever they want in a preliminary market consultation. This only means that it's up to the contracting authority's discretion to set the rules, set the provisions clearly and precise, and in an unequivocal manner, as we said, and as it was stated in the Succhi di Frutta case. And if this is the case, this act is not falls outside of a judicial review. And a third case, actually it's a most recent case, but still it gives and sets the grounds for the how a preliminary market consultation can be conducted by a contracting authority. Is the DG case, case of 2022. Actually is being a case that we do have a preliminary ruling based on Article 98 of the Rules of Procedure of the Court of Justice, where the court stated that the fact or any act of the contracting authority on the specifications or the technical requirements of a specific contract that has been launched within a market consultation is a process that can be only subject of the administrative proceedings and cannot fall out of the judicial review. Meaning, again, that as soon in the case that the contracting authority do have the right, the discretion to to set up the rules, to set up the specifications or the technical requirements. The contracting authority things that are most appropriate to satisfy its need. Then this set of specifications cannot be considered unlawful if they are, of course, linked in a way with the need or the challenge set by the contracting authority. This, of course, is a very important case. It's a case that is not directly involved with R&D services. It's a case which is actually it's for electronic goods. But still, since within this case and actually part of the preliminary question and ruling is the market consultation and the results of this market consultation. It's an important case that can be, let's say, which sets the grounds and can be driving a driving equipment, let's say, tool, instrument for the market consultation in terms, of course, of the case law and more specifically in terms of the European Court of Justice case law. So that was all from my side, Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you, Eleni.
Yeah. Thank you.
Indeed, we detected not so many case law related to open market consultation, meaning that there is a favorable endorsement and attitude for the contracting authority that intends to launch this preliminary and not binding process. So it's very favorable. We noted in practice many advantages: to acquire information, to reduce information asymmetry, and to enhance potentially the competition. And this is a very valid impact that the open market consultation is capable to bring to the optimization of the public spending. We think is a good instrument to be implemented. In some legislation, example in Italian, under Italian legislation, this is recommended and foreseen just for innovation procurement purpose. In other legislation and soft regulation is recommended, is implemented also for traditional ordinary procurement. In any case, as in all projects, we are dealing with innovation. We are convinced that this instrument is welcome and important to be implemented. I think we have respected the planned time. We are perfectly on time, and we give the floor to you participants for eventual questions. In any case, if you have questions after, you can refer to me, and I will share your question also with Eleni for any further discussion or details.